Elon Musk and DOGE have been sued by 26 anonymous USAID employees, claiming that Musk and DOGE are creating a shadow chain of command, an attempted government takeover, which is unconstitutional. My name is Dina Dahl with the Meidas Touch Network. Let's break this down. So this lawsuit, which they filed in federal district court in Maryland, is claiming that Musk and DOGE are acting in an unconstitutional way because despite Musk's broad exercise of power, he has not been appointed or confirmed by the Senate, or the Senate has not otherwise authorized the president to appoint him as an inferior officer as required by the appointment clause of the Constitution. A really strong complaint. One of the lawyers for the USAID employees is Norman Eason, the well-known ethics lawyer. And they just go point by point, showing the receipts. I mean, we've all seen in real time what Elon Musk has been trying to do. He's holding press conferences in the Oval Office. He's tweeting on his X platform that he's making all of these decisions. Evidently, there is a leader, team lead of DOGE, and embedded in literally every administration agency. And Musk is acting as the head of DOGE, as the administrator in power, despite the fact there's been no formal announcement from Trump, despite the fact that he has not been confirmed by the Senate as other cabinet heads would be, nor has he. So you either are a superior officer, which you have to be confirmed by the Senate, or an inferior officer, which Congress still as law has to say the president alone has the authority to confirm that person. That hasn't happened. They're trying to claim that he's just an employee, not an officer of the United States. But this complaint shows that he has so much more power than an employee could possibly have. And so by them trying to say he's just an employee, it is unconstitutional. But the complaint even goes as far as to say, okay, even if you say he's an employee, well, then he's exercising even as an employee in an unconstitutional way because there's such thing as separation of powers, and the amount of power he's exercising as an employee is power that as Congress would need to delegate. So a really strong complaint, and very interestingly, and definitely not an accident, they quote, and when they're talking about the appointments clause and how officers need to be appointed and confirmed, appointed by the president, but confirmed by the Senate, Clarence Thomas. Yes, they refer to Clarence Thomas when he wrote in the Trump immunity decision back in August, he wrote a concurring opinion, how he didn't like Jack Smith's appointment as a special counsel, that dicta. He said that Jack Smith was not an officer confirmed by the Senate as required by the appointments clause. And so this complaint by no accident refers and includes his comment regarding how officers have to be confirmed by the Senate under the Constitution, bringing this all full circle, because how hard that would be for Justice Clarence Thomas to somehow say that Elon Musk, with the amount of power he has, somehow doesn't have to be confirmed by the Senate, but Jack Smith, who was just a special prosecutor that had powers under the Attorney General who could appoint it, somehow had to be. So a really great complaint here. I'm going to just read from it a little bit because they just, point by point break down how much authority and power Elon Musk has and why, because of all that, it is so clear that this is a violation of it. And the USAID employees, they have to show that they were harmed. And so they show that they were harmed reputationally because they've been out there bad-mouthing these employees of the USAID, and they're going to have a hard time maybe getting another job because they've been talking about them not working and not being productive, all that defamatory statements that they've been making, although they're not actually claiming defamation, but reputational harm, financial injury, emotional distress. They describe how some of these employees are overseas, were just all of a sudden not being able to access their emails, or they are here trying to get food to starving people and that distress of they signed their own names to these contracts and to these pledges. So, clearly showing all this harm and asking the judge for declaratory relief to say that this is unconstitutional action by Musk and DOGE, because Musk is being sued and DOGE is being sued, and say that this is an unconstitutional action by both of them, and also asking for temporary and permanent injunctions to stop Musk and DOGE action. So in the complaint, just, laying out how, Trump hasn't even made any kind of formal announcement, not even a formal announcement. We all see in real time how much power that he's trying to have here. So the complaint says the scope and reach of his executive authority appears unprecedented. His power includes at least the authority to cease the payment of congressionally approved funds, access sensitive and confidential data across government agencies, cut off systems, access to federal employees and contractors at will, and take over and dismantle entire independent federal agencies. Such a strong argument for somebody like that. And you're trying to say somehow Congress doesn't have the authority to confirm somebody like that. The complaint goes on to say, recent weeks demonstrate that defendant Musk follows a predictable and reckless slash and burn pattern. 1, identify a federal program target, often relying on information posted on his privately owned social media platform X to pick them. 2, attempt to install his DOGE team, which largely consists of former employees from across a variety of defendant Musk's businesses within the agency or agencies that administer those programs. 3, attempt to gain access to the agency's core operating systems, often demanding access that is forbidden by privacy and security laws for individuals who have no clearance to access that information. 4, if resistance is met by the duly appointed officers or regular staff, threaten or ensure that any personnel roadblocks are placed on leave or otherwise removed, perhaps amplify threats against staff on X, heightening the risk of third-party harassment. 5, use the agency's internal technology and information systems, again, without proper legal authorization, to identify personnel for termination and contracts for freezing. 6, begin dismantling the agency from within by severely disrupting or crippling operations. Post about his actions either on his personal X account or the official DOGE X account, or both. And arguing also in the complaint that he knew about things even before the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who was confirmed by the Senate. He knew in particular about USAID, what they were planning on doing with the USAID. That is how much power he has. That is why he is a officer of the United States that needs to be confirmed by the Senate. Also talking about the fact that his new duties is evidently dismantling the Department of Education, which obviously is a significant government duty, which means he can only exercise that kind of power if he is the officer of the United States, which means he has to be appointed under the Appointments Clause. A very compelling complaint here. The complaint also, puts screenshots of X posts, one in particular where he talks about DOGE and what, the payments that they're stopping, showing that he is in charge of DOGE. And DOGE is so powerful. It's in all these agencies, which means he is so powerful. They also interestingly quote to that press conference that just happened in the Oval Office, that infamous press conference with his son, and how he mentions that there are bureaucrats who earn $200,000 and yet have, millions of dollars of net worth. And they say that in order for him to know their net worth, he would have to have a security clearance, which he doesn't have. So using his own words against him in that press conference to show that he is exceeding any authority he has because he's not been given any authority at all, and exercising it to the point he's seeing and talking about people's net worth in a way that's a violation of the law. The complaint also references an email that disputes this whole read-only access. I mean, we knew when he was trying to gain access to the payment systems, it wasn't just to look through them. This complaint here brings the receipts, and it says, in seeking access to Treasury systems, defendants Musk and DOGE initially stated that their goal was merely to undertake a general review of the system and observe its operations without interfering with disbursements. However, a January 24th, 2025 email exchange revealed that the DOGE push for access to the Treasury payment system was actually intended to receive access to the closely held payment system so that the Treasury could freeze disbursements to USAID. They also, in this complaint, go to task for why Musk and DOGE is targeting the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Not only is it because there's so many Trump friends, I'm sure, who will benefit from that, but Musk in particular. And this is what they say, quote, defendant Musk has a direct business connection to CFPB. Quote, just 9 days before his DOGE team visited CFPB, Musk's ex, the former Twitter, announced that it had struck a deal with Visa to process peer-to-peer payments. Musk has publicly mused about expanding into payment services since he first took control of X in 2022. Entering that business could bring CFPB oversight. Under rules the agency finalized in November, the records DOGE can now access would include sensitive and potentially competitive information. So this complaint, bringing the receipts, how much power he's wielding in an unconstitutional way, how much conflict of interest he has, again and again, just a really powerful lawsuit. And they end in a very powerful way. The lack of any formal appointment, congressional authorization, or duties that are defined in law renders defendants' government takeover a direct affront to Constitution's structural safeguards against tyranny. Well said complaint, articulating in court what we have all felt and thought, seeing what Elon Musk is doing without him being elected. Evidently, he thought a few $100 million is all it took to buy our country. And here, this complaint really, trying to stop him and doing it in a way, calling out to Justice Thomas to dare the Supreme Court to not enforce the appointments clause. So my name is Dina Dahl with the Meidas Touch Network. There's going to be a lot of developments on this case. We will keep you updated here.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.